If the roar of the crowd gives you goosebumps, catching a slip makes you grin, and above all, you love making your bookie cry, then you're in the right place. The #1 spot for premier betting advice and wild opinions, shared with a fan base like no other. Welcome home. This is the Punch List MMA Podcast.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's dark in here. I apologize. It's too late to get a light. So we're going to do it like this. Maybe. Wait. No, we're just going to do it like this. Oh, man. I mean, at this point, if you don't know who I am, Dale, host of Punch List MMA. If it's your first time tuning into the program, welcome. Thank you. Although at this point, I believe that the Punch List Nation is a battle-hardened group of veteran degenerates and shit posters and otherwise curmudgeon-y MMA purists. I don't think any of us exist in the casual realm anymore. I believe we are we're like the PTSD rattled drunken uncle at a family reunion, right? Occasionally say something funny, but mostly we're just here to grumble and drop little pieces of sage advice from time to time is where I think we've landed. I got a nice cup of Earl Grey, a little sleepy time tea, if you will, just to keep the pipes wet. Not because I'm sick. We've beaten the pestilence back into submission where it belongs, but I'm just keeping things, just keeping the pipes loose. We got a pay-per-view ahead of us. So pay-per-views, we always go a little bit deeper, always a little bit more of a dive in. And it's gonna be a great show. Part of the reason why is we've got an Oceana heavy card. And to be honest with you, as the former #1 sports podcast in Algeria for 2 months in 2021, I've got a lot to say. Even though I know Algeria is nowhere near Oceana, I just wanted to drop that stat in case you guys forgot that for 2 months we were the #1 sports podcast. I was the #1 sports podcast in Algeria. I'm just saying. And then I believe in May of 2021, cracked the top 10 in Australia. So, yes, I realize that I'm basically Uncle Rico talking about glory years right now, but that was a thing that happened. Chris said, I had 2 choices tonight. Listen to Sleepy Joe or listen to Dale. There was no choice, really. And you're right. There was no choice. Chris, and let me tell you why. One, I can put together sentences a little bit better. Not much, but a little bit better. And then 2, the internet's going to show you everything you missed anyway, right? Everything that Muppet says tonight, you're going to see it anyway. Somebody's going to clip it. They're going to post it. You don't need the context because you know that it's a lie wrapped in a lie, presenting itself as a truth with a shred of a lie inside of it. So it's really okay. You're not missing much at all. I can summarize the State of the Union very quickly. You just take a picture of a dumpster and then you light that on fire. And that's basically what we got going on. We're going to talk about the balloon real quick. Everybody's talking about the balloon. I just want to say something about the balloon real quick. I told you on Twitter, I said it. I said, if the balloon makes it to South Carolina, I will do everything in my power to take it down. The balloon got to South Carolina, and what happened? What happened? The balloon went down. You're welcome. You're welcome. I told you it wouldn't make it past here, and it didn't. It didn't. So you're welcome. I appreciate those who reached out on Saturday and were like, hey, dude, where are you at right now? As soon as they started closing airspace over the Myrtle Beach and Charleston area, my whereabouts were unknown. But I was outside, and it was a nice, crystal clear day. Although, admittedly, I don't have anything that's functional to 60,000 feet, if that's how high it even was. Jake, do you really believe it was at 60,000 feet or whatever they said? Come on, man. That's bogus. I don't believe it for a second. one of the narratives that I thought was really funny with that is they were like, "Oh, it was a civilian aircraft that got off course," and then they switched that to, "Oh, it's not a civilian aircraft. It's actually we've been trailing it the whole time. We've been blocking the signals leaving it. Signals leaving what? It's a civilian aircraft. What are we talking about? What signals? What pictures? What are we talking about?" That being said, I don't know if they know this in China land, but Google Earth is a thing. You really don't need to. You don't really need to use a balloon. You can just use Google Earth. I mean, it's really, it kind of shows you everything to an extent. And I'm sure they have it blocked out. That, hold on, real quick. OPSEC. Um, you can go on Google Maps and request your house be blurred out. A lot of people don't know this, but if for some reason you want to be the only house blurred out on your street, you can go on Google. You can go to Google, submit a request that they take your house in the front of your house off of Google Maps. So whenever the little stupid Prius with the gay little tripod drives by, even though they take the picture, it's blurred out. So they go in post mortem and get rid of that. So those of you that live in rural areas or have obscure driveways, I would encourage you to do that because it, you know, again, OPSEC, just something to consider, right? Something to consider. Okay. Most people in your area are going to know that your home's there anyway, but in the off chance, you can never be too safe. All right. What happened last event? Anything worth note? We had a bunch of no-name Asians, or as I call them, Nasians, talking or fighting, and there was. I mean, listen. I'll sound like for the first time this episode, I'll sound racist for a second here. I can't remember who any of them are, but the one guy had a great knockout. Nakamura, maybe. I think it was Nakamura. Leveled him, which was great, man. Producer Jake just hit me with a DM, said needs to take a dump. So I'm flying solo here for a minute. How long? When I take a dump, it's like 15, 20 minutes. I wonder what producer Jake, I wonder if he's like a power, like sit down and let it rip and then get back. I think he's probably a 15, 20 minute guy. That's okay. I can run the show. Anyway. So yeah, man, the Nasians showed up. And then we had a main event, Sergey Spivak versus Derek Lewis. It kind of went the way we thought it was going to go, right? I mean, honestly, the only downside to it, the only downside to the entire thing was whether or not we pulled the trigger on Spivak by sub, right? Because we thought maybe he might get Derek Lewis in a disadvantageous position and just club him to the point of submission, or club him to the point where, the referee steps in and stops it. But he did. He got the sub, so it was good. I think we were plus 840 on that, plus 840, which was good. That's a good night. It's normal, right? We're moving back. 7 stages agree for over, and we're back, right? So plus 840 on the night. It's good. And then we have a pay-per-view here, and I've got some good spots. Now, admittedly, this will not be a place where we see 15 bets on the slip or 15 bets on the profile. If you follow me on betmma.tips, which is free, by the way, free. Everything we've ever done has been free, other than sell the occasional t-shirt. Everything else is free. $3. Free 99, right? My 2 favorite flavors are free and ice cold. I can't do that with a podcast, so it's just free, right? Everything. No Patreon, no paywall, none of that. Now, those that have it, I don't knock the hustle. Get your money. But it's not my speed, right? I'm not a Discord guy. I'm not a Patreon guy. I'm a free guy, right? Anyway, it's the spirit of America, freedom. Real quick, Addicted to Combat. I just saw him pop in here. He says, "Good evening, my friend." UFC 285. That Tuesday night, your normally scheduled program for UFC 285, that will be an abridged show here. We will be hard stop at an hour, and then after that, I will be switching over and joining Patrick over at Addicted to Combat, and we'll break down 285 more in depth there. He runs a longer show than I do, so we will do this one, boom, for about an hour. I'll go through my picks quickly and succinctly, as you know I can, and then we'll rotate over to Patrick's channel. Go ahead and go over to YouTube now, or you're already at YouTube if you're watching this, navigate away from here for a second, or at the end of the show, find Patrick's channel, Addicted to Combat, subscribe there. So that way on that Tuesday night, whatever Tuesday, 2 Tuesdays from now, you'll be able to make the switch accordingly. Just want to give some shout outs to people that are showing up. Guy who loves beer, man, I love you. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you continue to support the show. I'm functionally locked out of my Instagram account, so please hit me up on Twitter if you haven't, or shoot me an email. And love to catch up. Love to catch up with you, man. Hope you, the wife, the baby, and I believe you have baby number 2 on the way. I hope everybody's doing well and is healthy. Adam says, "What's up, Adam? What's going on, man? Glad to see you here." Boston Brews Bets. Late to the party, cheers. And that airplane or that balloon delayed my flight, buddy. I'm sorry. I know it happens. And then my man Marvin over at Hammer Bets. What's up, buddy? How are you? Good to see you. Man, I just, like I said, battle hard and grizzled. Yeah, I just love it. Let's see. And then Ultra White says, "Just found you, brother. Love the content." Hey, man, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right, let's get into this. Let's get into it a little bit, right? Again, Oceana heavy cards tend to do a little bit more in Aussie land as far as downloads go, and anything with Islam, I get crushed a lot. Those of you who are unaware, we're just gonna this is the last aside before we get into this. When Dober fought Islam, as you know, I went hard in the paint, right? Very, very much so. Went crazy. Talked a lot of trash, which I always do anyway. Talked a lot of trash. The Russians didn't like that. They're really not a fan of that. Just going into the whole toxic fan base of Khabib and Islam and all that stuff, that they just did not particularly care for that. The clip that we had with Drew afterwards, right? Because Drew always comes on after the fight, our little after action report episodes. He comes on and he talks about what it's like, what he felt with Islam and the trips and the grips and all that kind of stuff, whatever. That was used on RT, right? The Russian state media, like their version of ESPN. They used that clip. So we got all these like all these messages from all these Russians. Like, they had nothing nice to say about me. They had marginally nice things to say about Trey, but really had nothing nice to say about our show. Basically said that we suck and that, given the opportunity, they'd cut our head off. But again, it's a religion of peace, but they'd cut my head off if they got the chance. Anyway, that said, Islam always brings out a good crowd. Oceana fighters always bring out a good crowd as far as downloads go. I hope to make some of you happy, and eventually I'm going to piss some of you off here. So let's get into it. Austin, a little late. What's going on? What's up, buddy? Jake's not here. Oh, Jake's back. Jake is a power dump. We were right. He literally sat down, let it fall out, and came right back. I like that, Jake. I like that, man. Did you got a good wipe in though, right? I can't have you. Okay, cool. Jake's got his mustache freshly trimmed too. It is crispy, real crispy. I like it. It's real nice. Okay, Jake, can you give us that first fight on the main card? Jimmy Crute taking on Alonzo Menafield. Atomic Alonzo taking on Jimmy Crute, minus 185 for Jimmy Crute. Atomic Alonzo at plus 160. Over on rounds is at 1.5. Jimmy Crute making that long awaited comeback after the devastating knee injury, but my man is back. He's feeling good. He's feeling strong. He's taking on Alonzo Menafield, who has a little bit of momentum, dare I say. Best pecs in the game, Mr. Alonzo Menafield. But he's taking on Jimmy Crute, and Jimmy Crute getting the hometown rub here at the minus 185 spot. I'm going to ask you to proceed with caution here, given the layoff and Jimmy Crute's propensity to get hit in fights. He fancies himself a brawler, fancies himself this blood and guts guy, but I'm telling you, the body doesn't always agree with what the mind wants, right? You can get in there and try to fight like a Mexican boxer, but that doesn't mean your chin and your brain are going to comply with what you see in your third eye. It doesn't make it make sense all the time with the physiognomy of the body. You can't always do that. And Menafield hits hard, right? He's shown himself to have an increasingly good gas tank. We can get about a good 2 rounds out of Alonzo now. It was like 6 minutes, but he's pushed it out to about 2 now. The flight, the travel, is he getting the right food? His layover, like the jet lag, all that stuff. Like, is he getting everything that he wants while he's over there to keep that gigantic mean machine running the way he needs it to? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. If you're on the crude side, I would say proceed with caution. Minus 185 makes him is like a small play, if at all play. But if I'm interested in this fight, I'm interested in the props, right? The props are where we're going to make some money on this event. And Alonzo Menafield and Jimmy Crute have no shortage of it. Under 2.5s at 265. Ugh, that's rough. Fight doesn't go to decision, minus 360. That becomes almost unplayable. What I'm interested in is fight doesn't start round 3. Fight doesn't start round 3. We can get it minus 190 right now. So if you're on the Jimmy Crute side to begin with, you're only paying 5 cents more. You're only paying 5 cents more, and you're giving yourself the basically the added force multiplier of Alonzo Menafield, and you're giving yourself 10 minutes to figure it out, right? So for 5 cents more, you're getting both fighters and you're getting them for 10 minutes. That seems like a value spot for me. That seems like where we could possibly get this done. Both of them are going to try to hit hard. Jimmy Crute's coming off a long layoff. Unless it's a wrestle heavy grinder approach, which I don't necessarily see him being able to do against thick ass Alonzo. I think we see no round 3 here. So I'm looking at no round 3 start. Not necessarily sure if I'm going to go ahead and throw it as like super official play, but that's the spot I like for this one, right? So Crute Menafield, no round 3. That's where I'm at. That is minus 190. So Hammer says, I've had a theory since I started listening that there is no producer Jake and that it's all a bit. There is in fact a producer Jake. The routinely, not routinely, but relatively routinely, we'll have him pull up. So like last episode, producer Jake was on his like Jamie from Joe Rogan shit. I had him pulling up stuff the entire time. So most times, like here, case in point, we're going to prove producer Jake exists. Producer Jake, will you take us to the next fight, please? Bring up the odds. Boom. Parker Porter versus Justin Taffa. Taffa to minus 120. Parker Porter at a plus 100. Over under rounds is at 2.5. Now, here's what I love about this is that everybody and their mother and their mother's cousin seems to be on Parker Porter for this. Very interesting. I see Porker getting a lot of love. And as a thick white boy myself, I understand and I can appreciate that. But we need not discount the hometown advantage that a lot of these guys are going to have on Saturday. I know a lot of people are against Taffa because of the fact that he couldn't get Vandera out of there, the fact that his fight IQ seems to be pretty low, cardio maybe around and a half, and Parker Porter has this ability, like a guy who's been fat his whole life or a guy who's been heavy his whole life. He knows how to navigate that weight well, right? It's not like he's just something about him genetically has him that big, right? One of those dudes that it doesn't matter if you put him on the Dolce diet, he's not fighting at 205 ever. He's always going to be a heavyweight. It's just the way genetics will allow it. Okay, so maybe he extends us out a little bit. But if we're at heavyweights here, and we are plus 100, like, I mean, people are really confident in Parker Porter this weekend. I don't see it. I really don't see it, man. I don't necessarily know that Taffa's going to get him out of there. I don't know if he's got, one punch sleep him. I really don't know what to think about that. Under 1.5, is it, you're getting that at plus money, plus 115. Under 2.5 is at minus 165. Anytime you can get heavyweights and under 2.5 at a decent number, minus 165, that's playable, right? I mean, they're big boys and they're throwing. I think if we get a finish inside of that, though, it comes from one of two things. I think it comes from the outright exhaustion of an adrenaline dump from Justin Taffa, and round 1, maybe he hurts Parker, tries to get him out of there, can't. Round 2, he's dead, right? And then Parker Porter gets a finish. Yeesh. Or he does complete it and he gets Parker Porter out of there. Maybe. Get yourself 12.5 minutes at heavyweights, though. with the hometown crowd going crazy. It's not Vegas. We're talking about a hometown crowd, 12 and a half minutes. It leads itself to believe that there might be a finish here. I cautiously lean to an under 2.5 here. Cautiously. I don't get all the love on Parker Porter. And we're going to talk about another person that's getting a lot of love this week or later on in Luke Boone me. But for right now, Parker Porter's getting a ton of love. I thought it was like sarcastic, like meme-worthy love, but then I've seen a lot of cappers posting a lot of stuff saying, 3 units on Parker Porter, 2.5, 5 units on Parker Porter. You guys are crazy. Crazy. I commend the huevos to do so, but I will not do it. I can't do it. I'm going to pass. All right. Randy Brown taking on Jack Della Maddalena. JDM's at 13-2. Randy Brown at 16-4. Randy Brown's a plus 250. Jack Della's at a minus 300. Over on rounds is at 1.5. Okay. Jack Della Maddalena has all the makings of a star, right? Skill-wise, performance-wise, has all the makings of a star. Aesthetically, probably not so much, but seems like a good enough guy, well-spoken, really, really liked, respected, solid skill set, right? Solid skill set. Make no mistake about it. Randy Brown is his toughest test to date. Things that I like and things that I don't like. Okay, we'll start with Jack. Obviously, the boxing is there, right? I love that. Okay, perfect. I like the cardio. I like the output. I like the volume. I like the head movement. I like all of these things. I like the momentum. I like the hometown rub. All of these things play very well. He also will not have a decidedly smaller reach advantage or disadvantage to Randy, like Randy has over most folks. Randy will have a reach advantage for sure, but it's not going to be as egregious as some other opponents. Okay. What I don't like about this fight for Jack is he doesn't protect his neck particularly well. And he gets himself in some weird spots whenever somebody tries to grab a hold of him. It can get a little messy. And Randy Brown with those long arms is not one to play with in that regard. So I'm a little nervous there, which leads me over to the thing I like about Randy Brown is those long arms. I like that he leans into his jab and works behind it. I like the volume that he puts out, and I like that he hand fights. He doesn't allow you to continue to pump out the jab. He will parry, he will swat, he will try to grab and throw straights down after grabbing the hand. He's very active with his hands, right? I also like that he's not afraid to throw front kicks up the middle, and he's not afraid to throw like the elliptical style Jon Jones kick, right? Anything to create that distance. And if Jack wants to keep it a boxing match, obviously, if you have a guy with a reach advantage that can live behind a jab like Randy Brown, you're doing okay there. The gas tank starts to fail for Randy, though, at times, right? End of round 2, middle of round 2, going into round 3, he does slow down and can get caught, especially if Jack can set traps, if he can cut things off. Definitely can find angles to set those traps to get Randy circling to or from into something. Randy can lock up a submission. Randy by submission is probably the only play I would consider here on Randy Brown, right? Much can be said about Jack's power, but the power comes from the accuracy. Okay. Don't get confused by the Nico Price knockout that somehow Randy Brown is chinny. He exits exchanges with his chin high. He fights like a tall guy, which at this point he's probably not going to fix in his career, which sucks. That's a tough spot. But realistically, Jack's not playable at that minus 300. You just can't do it. I mean, I wouldn't. You could probably throw him in a parlay, sure. I hate the lean super heavy on violence, but fight doesn't go to decision is available widely at like the minus 190 range, which is something that I would consider given the run of KOs that Jack has had, right? Because Jack by KO right now is at minus 110. So books are kind of either setting a trap or they're leaning us as to where they think it's going to go. Randy Brown by submission, and this is where I want you to consider a quarter unit play. Randy Brown by submission, this is the only way I think he wins this fight, is at plus 1,400. Plus 1,400 on Randy Brown by submission. Just based on the way that we have seen Jack get into a couple precarious spots, namely the Ramazan Ameev fight. There was a weird little moment there, right? So just saying, Randy Brown puts him in that same spot. Things get dicey. So, let's see here. DK hung a bad number on Randy Brown sub only at plus 150, and people crushed them, so they took it down. So if I'm reading that correctly, so sub only, that would mean that KO, decision, everything else is just a no bet. So it's literally plus 150 or get your money back. Oh man, it's good. Let's see if that comes back through. Anyway, so yeah, I think your Randy Brown sub plus 1,400 inside the distance minus 190 spot. Sure. I imagine as far as DraftKings go, Jack's going to be in a lot of the ownership will be high. And I imagine we're going to see him on quite a few parlays as well. Don't love it, but I don't hate it either. I completely understand. It's justified. It's justified. Given everything that's going on, it's justified. If he goes out there and puts on a performance and just blinks Randy Brown out of existence, just clicks him out, right? He's already a star. I'll use the quote star, right? Situationally speaking, right? He's an Australia, New Zealand, Oceana star. If he goes out there and crushes Randy Brown, he becomes like the number 3 guy coming out of there. Like you probably have Volk, Izzy. I don't even know if they like Izzy anymore. And then Jack's right there. All right. So yeah, he says exactly. Yeah. So it would just be, oh yeah. So 150. Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If everything else is a no play. Yeah, of course. I bet they got hammered on it. Yeah. Or they got crushed. Yeah, for sure. That's a good spot. Sometimes, you know who wouldn't recommend that is Minty. And let's talk about this for a split second. I had no idea who this person was. And apparently a lot of other folks didn't, but I don't know if Gianni the Greek has been replaced, but they found a person to replace him, or at least was filling in his stead for this last card. Person by the name of Minty Betts, who is a woman. It's a woman. And yeah, I'm not saying women can't gamble. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. Some of them can, I'm sure. I just haven't seen one. I'm sure there's some out there, right? Like funny women comedians. I'm sure there's some that exist. I just haven't seen one. So I'm just saying, I just haven't seen one at all ever in the history of comedy or betting. All right. Co-main event evening, Yair Rodriguez at 14-3, taking on Josh Emmett at 18-2. Yair Rodriguez at the minus 170 spot. Josh Emmett coming back plus 145. I am torn here. Let me tell you why I'm torn. Those old school folks know that Josh Emmett is a friend of the program. I've had Josh on before, spoken to Josh. Like him a great deal. Very nice guy. The extent of our conversation when him and I spoke, it was after the Burgos fight where he destroyed his knee. And him and I spoke at length at what it was like to fight with a busted up knee as a person that suffered a very similar knee injury, but not in a fist fight. Mine happened playing dodgeball. Very different, equally dangerous and bloodthirsty sports, but his came as a result that from a fight. Anyway, talk to Josh at length. And one of the things that he really focused on was, whether it was all for show or not, was mindset, right? And I will say fighting through a knee injury like that lets you know what a guy like that's made out of. Grit, I don't think he can be matched as far as grit goes. There was a time where I used to give Yair Rodriguez a bunch of shit for not being very gritty. But seeing that he's gotten literally damn near beat to death, like his last 3 fights, minus the Brian Ortega fight, I can't say that about El Pantera either. He's got some dog in him as well, or cat. He definitely has some in him. So it used to be my angle on Yair Rodriguez was I take the Frankie Edgar approach. Frankie Edgar made him quit, and I was like, oh, this guy's soft as duck shit. Like there's no way to play him. If somebody can outgrit him, I'm not going to do it. He has shown himself to be able to withstand a great deal of punishment and still come out on top. The Korean Zombie fight, namely. And he gave Max Holloway all Max could handle for a while until Max started pulling away. He has it in him. He really does. The thing with Josh is he's 38 years old. I'm not 38 years old. I'm a year younger than that, but I know what it feels like. This is kind of it for him, right? I know it's for an interim belt, but this is like the penultimate moment of his work and what he's been going after is this right here. And he's realizing it, what I believe probably to be 3 years too late, biologically speaking, but I don't think that's going to deter him from this opportunity. Case in point, like Nichols said here, the rumor going around is that Josh is fighting with an injured hip. And I've heard everything from it being muscular to it being that, whatever the ball was that the femoral cap is cracked, which sounds ludicrously painful. None of those things have been substantiated by anybody that I would trust unequivocally. And he's not going to tell you, you shoot him a DM and be like, hey, Josh, is your hip busted up? And he's going to be like, leave you on red. So that's interesting. Yair Rodriguez has a lot of tread left on the tires. So a loss here to Josh Emmett doesn't really do anything to hurt him. He doesn't get the interim spot, but the way featherweight is, it's such a log jam of people trying to get the Volk. It really doesn't matter if he loses here. He can reasonably get a title shot by the end of 2023. Seriously, he can lose to Emmett here, get another win, and come right back. Josh Emmett, if he loses this fight, is never going to fight for a title again. Never. So do you discount the mentality, the mindset of a guy who realizes this is his one and only shot, right? Like this is his Eminem 8 Mile moment. This is his one moment, right? With a good wrestling base off of a camp, if he was able to get cardio in, his cardio will hold up, and he carries the power that Rodriguez does not. With Yair being very hittable. Do you discount that? It's very, very tough. That being said, Josh Emmett takes an exuberant amount of punishment every single fight, like an exorbitant amount. There you go, not exuberant, exorbitant amount of punishment every single fight. He cannot, his body just cannot handle conflict anymore. Every time he gets touched, everything leaks and swells and splits and cracks. And I'm going to be honest with you, I thought he lost the fight to Calvin Kattar. I really did. And that's, having both of those guys be on the show before, that's just, mutual friendship saying, I think you lost that fight, bro. I would be inclined to believe that, I'm not saying he doesn't deserve this spot. I'm just saying I thought he lost that fight. And that has no bearing here on this matchup against Yair Rodriguez, other than the fact that it just further showed in that fight that his body has he can't handle damage anymore. Like the body is just giving up on it. You flick him in the eyebrow and his whole eyeball swole shut. Yair's going to kick and jab and just hooks off the lead hand, over and over and over again. And he's going to try to avoid the one big power shot that Josh carries. That said, Yair doesn't particularly well with damage very, very well either. I won't play an inside the distance play here again, because then you got the whole main card. You're talking about finishes. We just statistically speaking, we know that that's very rare. I can't play into the law of averages there. It doesn't seem feasible. I'm not sure that it goes 5 rounds. If Emmett's hip is bad, I just it's such a rumor. I wish I knew. I really wish I knew. Um, I think we see an ugly split decision. If you're going to play a fight by split decision that isn't a woman's fight, this card, this is a great one to do it. This is a great one to do it. Yair works off the jab. Yair works off the kicks. He's going to be faster. If he gets Josh out of there, he gets him out of there early, I think. That said, I believe, I believe if I had to pick, I told you 2023 is the year of the narrative. They just announced that a new UFC PI is going to be built in Mexico City. What other person would you rather have christen the champagne bottle on opening that place up than whether it's interim or not, featherweight champ of the world, Yair Rodriguez? So I'm going to take Yair Rodriguez here. I understand that makes me a Judas for going against a punch list alum. I hope that Josh wins the fight. Okay, we have a split between heart money and smart money here. My money is on Yair Rodriguez. My heart money is Josh Emmett. But you guys are here to make money. Yair Rodriguez, it is. But I would be very happy to see Josh win that fight. And I think he has the tools to do it. I hope the hip is healthy. But I'm on Yair Rodriguez. I'll just take a money line here. And I'll do so. I will do so very small. Maybe 1.5 to 2. Right. So that being said, Yair Rodriguez, interim featherweight champ, Mexico City UFC PI. So Matt T says a little tardy to the party. I love the word play, and I love the rhyming. MMA Jesus Yair is too fast and too active. His chin is too Mexican. It's possible. Yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah, sure. And then throwing a little shade at my man Hammer Bets. Come on, man. Come on. It's all one big happy family here. All right. Main event of the evening. Producer Jake, let's do it up. Islam Makhachev -4. Volk +3. Over on rounds at 2.5. The long and short of it is, if you're on the Makhachev side, Makhachev by sub +150 seems like the play. It really does. That just seems to be the way to take that if you're on the Makhachev side of it. There's no point in going to some in-depth breakdown on this, because these are two guys that have been widely scrutinized, widely pored over, widely dug through, widely analyzed. Everybody knows what to expect, right? You're taking Islam and you're going Khabib 2.0. You're taking Volk, and we're taking every piece of tape, film, thoughts, prayers, whatever, and you're talking about the guy that beat Max Holloway 3 times. I didn't think he beat him the first time. Can't believe he beat him the second time. Dominated him the third time. There ain't a person on earth that's beat Max Holloway 3 times in the world at all, except Alexander Volkanovski. The resume speaks for itself. He is on another level right now. All that to say, nightmare matchup for him. Would have loved to see him come up to 155 at any other point in time. Maybe just, try to let somebody else like Poirier or somebody, anybody beat Makhachev. The Volkanovski just stand up is not going to work here. It's not going to work here. I know. He's got, he grabs the single, he posts the hip, he rotates out, grabs the underhook. Okay, fine, whatever. That's all well and good. It's just not going to work here. It's just you have hands like feet and feet like hands. He just cannot. He's not going to be able to get it done. If Chad Mendez, if Ricardo Lama, if all these dudes could give him all he could handle on the ground, not to say that he's not better now, but I just don't see. I don't see it. And they're going to make much ado about, well, Volk used to be 240 pounds and play rugby, and he's used to like big, strong guys and all that stuff. I completely understand. I hear you. I understand your words that are coming out of your mouth. I just don't believe it's going to matter against Islam. I really don't. I hope it does. I would love to see Volkanovski beat him. I really would. I think it would just I think it would set the fan base ablaze, like the Khabib fan base, the Dagestani Russian just fan base. I think it would just set the whole thing into just a surface of the sun level of self-immolation if he lost this fight. Okay. Um, Makhachev by sub plus 150 is a good line. Makhachev inside the distance minus 110. Minus 110. I don't see a way that he wins other than sub, unless, again, it's one of those things where he just gets Volkanovski in a disadvantageous position, gets the back, comes up, can't get the hands underneath, and he just starts raining down shots on him while he's got him tied up from the back, possibly. Big brothers him, pulls a hand behind, hits him with the old Dagestani handcuff, and he can't get out of there. But given the way the Ortega fight went, I think, especially if Herb Dean, Lord knows, who knows if Herb Dean's going to be there or not. Gosh, if Herb Dean's refereeing this fight, who knows what the hell could happen. They're going to give Volk every chance in the world to work if it's punches. They'll give him every chance in the world to work based on what we've seen in the Ortega fight. And I know that didn't come from punches. I know that came from disadvantageous submission positions. But the reason why I say that is because, for all intents and purposes, it looked like Volk was just mere moments away from surrendering the belt, and he escaped. So you understand that a guy has the self-awareness of a position, and he will continue to work and will defend himself. So I don't necessarily love Makhachev inside the distance so much so as I love him by sub, because that just seems to be the most likely path to victory. Now, other interesting props here for this fight that I think you should consider. Over 1.5, you're minus 315. Don't necessarily love it. Under 1.5 is at minus 220. We're getting closer. Under 2.5, minus 125. Under 3.5 is at minus 127. If you're on the Volk side, I want to know how you think he wins this fight, right? It's got to be by decision. I don't think that you think he's going to go out there and out wrestle Islam. He's not going to do that. Do you think he tags him? Do you think he hits him so hard he knocks him out? Like, is that what it is? Or is it like death by punches, right? Like, is it volume that gets him out of there? Do we think he wears him down over the course of a couple rounds? They're going to say, well, Khabib's not in the corner, so let's take that out of there. Fight won't start round 5. Minus 135 is interesting, depending on how you think Volk can win this fight. Volkanovski by decision, in my opinion, is most likely path to victory, is at plus 650. Definitely something to consider. Makhachev wins in round 2 is at plus 500. Makhachev wins in round 3 is at plus 9. Dober, similar body build of Volkanovski, shorter, heavy muscular, very physically strong. Makhachev submitted Dober in round 3. I think Makhachev submits Volk round 3. I'm sprinkling it at plus 900. So things that I'm considering here, things that I am playing for this fight. Islam by sub plus 150. Sure. Very small Islam inside the distance based on position. I'd hate to lose it because of punches. Minus 110. Or what I say plus 1. Shit. Hold on. Let me go back. Damn it. What I have? Volk. No. Yeah, minus 110. Makhachev wins inside the distance, minus 110. Volk by submission at plus 650. Small sprinkle, and then Makhachev wins in round 3, plus 900. Those are my sprinkles for this one. That's where I'm sitting. Just outright, I think Islam wins. I just think stylistically it's a bad match for Volkanovski. I hope he wins. Again, main event and co-main are Heart Money versus Smart Money. Heart Money's on Josh Emmett and Volkanovski. Smart Money is on Rodriguez and Islam. But only one money line's playable, and that's Yair. And I'll play, like I said, Islam submission plus 150. All right. Okay, producer Jake, we have gone through the entire main card. We got some early prelims, a couple spots to touch here. Not a whole lot, but we've got a couple. Like I said, probably light, less than 10 plays this weekend. Zabira Tugagov at 25-1, taking on Elvis Brenner at 13-3. Brenner to plus 400, Zabira Tugagov minus 600 at over on rounds at 2.5. It just makes sense to put Tukagov on a fight on a card where Islam is, because they're just going to travel together anyway. They're rolling together. You might as well save money on airfare and hotel rooms because they're all going to be there together anyway. So you put Tukagov on here, you give him Elvis Brenner. He should win this fight. I see some people that are on the Tukagov inside the distance play, and I believe he's the most expensive fighter on DraftKings this weekend. Bet that at your own peril, because the dude is just a walking decision. And he fights down to his competition. He does not elevate himself. So I would proceed with caution there. Minus 600, prohibitive favorite here. Won't touch him at that. Under 2.5, if that's your speed, go for it. This is a no bet for me, and I wouldn't even recommend playing Elvis Brenner because I think he's grossly outmatched here. It's not even dog or pass. This is just 100%. I'm going to stay away from this fight. All right, next one, Jake. Let's see here. Shane Young taking on Blake Builder. Blake Builder at 7-0. He's got one no contest on there. And then Shane Young at 13-6. I see a lot of people that are on Builder here. From what I have seen, he has the skills to beat Shane Young, who I believe to not be a UFC level talent. But I have heard and have seen he tends to get hit a lot, right? He gets his bell rung. I don't know if Shane Young's the one to get him out of there. Some people that I know that are much smarter than me that pay attention to guys, and I told you I won't bet on people I haven't seen fight before, have said that Builder is a play here. So if you're here and you're wondering my opinion on it, my opinion is to check my bettors and my peers, and they believe that Builder is a play here. I won't play Shane Young. I don't think he's a UFC level talent, but I don't know enough about Builder to play him. Under 2.5 seems like a thing if Builder is as good as they say he is, in the fact of the skill set he carries, but I won't know until I see him fight Shane Young. So this is a no bet one for me as well. Next up, we've got Loma Luke Boomy taking on Elise Reed. Elise Reed at 6-2. Loma at 7-3. Loma Luke Boomy is at minus 275. Elise Reed's at plus 235. And I want to talk some sense into you for a minute. We're in the trust tree here. Okay. This is me talking to you as a friend. If you bet Loma Luke Boomy at minus 275, I can't help you. I can't do that. You're by yourself. I can't. I will follow you almost anywhere. You guys know this. You send me a message. You're like, Dale, I like this play. Even if it's directly contrary to something I said, I'll follow you. I'll entertain you. I won't entertain Loma Luke Boomy at a minus 275. I will not do it. Elise Reed plus 235. Now, does she deserve to be the underdog against Loma? She absolutely does. Yeah, she's not very good. But I would ask you, like, really self-reflectively speaking here, do you think Loma is minus 275 against anybody? Should she be minus 275 against anybody? I don't know if she should be minus 275 against some, fat chick on a World Star hip hop video, let alone minus 275 against Elise Reed, who actually trains to fight professionally. I have to play Elise Reed here. I have to. This is the low-level women's mixed martial arts spots we talk about. Both of these women are so bad, and one is such a heavy favorite. We can't not play it. You can't not play it. What's Loma going to do? Knock her out? Oh, when? Round 3? Oh, yo. Loma by sub? Ooh, I can't. I know a lot of people are on it. I just can't follow you there. I can't follow you there. Like my man Samwise said, I can't follow you there, Mr. Frodo. I can't follow you there. I will play Elise Reed just based off of women's science. It has nothing to do with the analytics of how good they are fighting, because they both suck. But I mean, it's low-level women. plus 235. I have to. You're making it. I mean, I can't play Loma to do anything. Oh, except like have a low fight IQ. Oh my gosh. Elise Reed plus 235. I don't even like the fact that I'm saying out loud that I'm going to play Elise Reed hurts my feelings, but I certainly can't switch over and play Loma. All right. Jack Jenkins taking on Don Shanis. Don Shanis at 12-4. Jack Jenkins at 10-2. Shout out to my boys. My boys. The Run It Back podcast. They love Jack Jenkins. And they love Jack Della Maddalena. And here's what I love about those boys, right? And you guys know I love them anyway. If you haven't already, the best produced MMA podcast out there right now, with all due respect and disrespect to everybody else, my show included, producer Jake, I understand this. They are the best produced show out there. They do game shows, they do sound clips, they do video clips, they do the whole, it's like watching a show on ESPN. I love those guys. Check it out. Run It Back podcast. Okay. iTunes, Spotify, all that stuff. Show them some love. Criminally underrated show. Anyway, they do a lot of stuff with Eternal in the Australia regional scene. And they have been on Jack Jenkins and Jack Della Maddalena for years now and have made it abundantly clear that these dudes were the future of Aussie mixed martial arts and have told me this, as long as I had ears to hear and eyes to see. So we get Jack Jenkins, right? We had him on Contender Series, and you see what Contender Series fade, but hometown fight in a very winnable fight against Don Shanis, minus 335. If you're talking about parlays, right? If you're going to throw Jack Della in a parlay, I like the Jack and Jack. I'll take a Jack and Jack parlay, if anything, maybe. So minus 3, whatever, minus 335. We're going to get minus 180 spots on it, somewhere in there. Sure. Why not? I'm not going to unload, but I'll make it palatable. Over-under and rounds at 2.5. Oh, I did the teeth suck thing. I'm sorry. That's annoying. I really had gotten away from that for months now, and I just did it again. Apologies. Under 2.5, minus 175. They don't think this fight's going to decision, but you can get fight doesn't go to decision minus 185. So you're sacrificing a dime and you're getting another 2 minutes and 30 seconds. The 2 minutes and 30 seconds has been crushing us this year. So Jack Jenkins, Don Shanis, inside the distance, minus 180. Lock it up. That's what we're doing. That's what we're going to do. All right. Let's see here. Jamie Malarkey, Francisco Prado. Prado at 11-0. Malarkey at 15-5. Over on rounds of 1.5. Malarkey at a minus 270 favorite over Prado, plus 230. Prado is a finisher. Malarkey can finish. He loves violence and he loves brawls. I don't necessarily think that's a great game plan against a guy who can turn your whole world upside down in Francisco Prado. But that being said, see a lot of people on the under 2.5 and inside the distance plays here. I will take under 2.5 based on the penchant that both of these guys love to finish fights. That and that alone is enough to get me to bite. If you can finish fights, I will take a shot. A reasonable expectation that you will do exactly that. So we will play that. Under 2.5 is at minus 150, but fight doesn't go decision and minus 175. A little juicy, a little chalky, but we're going to take it. Again, I'm not getting burnt on these 2 minutes and 30 seconds anymore. I got crushed on them 2 events ago. Everything was ending in the third round. I'm not doing it. You're not getting me with those 30 seconds anymore, especially if I'm just sacrificing dimes on the dollar. I won't do it. So give me inside the distance there on Malarkey and Prado. Clayton Rodriguez taking on Shannon Ross. Shannon Ross at 13-6. Clayton Rodriguez at 7-2. Rodriguez, excuse me, here's a minus 320 over Shannon Ross plus 70. And I think that's appropriately priced. Clayton is this is a bad matchup. I don't know much about Shannon Ross, but I know Clayton Rodriguez, and he's a tough matchup for anybody. So unless this kid, is coming out and he's some sort of I don't know, whirling dervish of violence, I think Clayton gets him out of there. So Clayton Rodriguez minus 320 on the money line might be a little bit too steep, but looking at him here, excuse me. Let's see here. Let me pull this back up. Rodriguez wins inside the distance. Plus 138. Nice little plus money spot there. I think that's where we go. All right. And we got Joshua Kulabau taking on Melsik Bagdasarian. Bagdasarian at 7-1, taking on Josh Kulabau at 10-1. Do not convince yourself that Josh Kulabau is not good based on the Jalen Turner loss. Josh Kulabau is very good. This fight is a pick'em for a reason. Melsik Bagdasarian is very good as well. I see a lot of movement coming in, a lot of money's coming in on Kulabau, and justifiably so. Nichols says Ross is a live dog, in my opinion. Oh, shit. Okay. I love it. I love having a read that's completely opposite of you. Cool. I like it. All right. Melsik Bagdasarian and Josh Kulabau to pick him over around 2.5. I would lean Kulabau here. Realistically, I will probably stay away from this fight and just enjoy it. I'm leaning Kulabau, though. This is going to be a very tough and very competitive fight for both of these gentlemen. And it's one of those, I think I give the power advantage to Melsik, but I think everything else goes to Josh. I'll lean Kulabau, but I'm not going to play this fight. All right. And then last but not least, we have the featured prelim. Tyson Pedro at 9-3, taking on Modestas Bukauskas at 13-5. Bukauskas at a plus 200 spot. Tyson Pedro at a minus 230. This came out, Tyson Pedro was like a minus 800. And then reality kicked in, and it was like, oh, he's not fighting Harry Hunsucker. Like, this is a real fighter he's fighting now. I think Bukauskas is a live dog here at plus 200. Pedro is mediocre at best. He's got a lot of love coming back from a long layoff and getting 2 absolute cans to fight. He's fighting a real fighter now. I know Bukauskas suffered the knee injury to Khalil Roundtree, but he went out, got another win outside the promotion, and now he's coming in. He just fought like a couple weeks ago. He's in fight shape. He got out of there relatively unscathed, if I'm not mistaken. And he's coming in, he's fighting Tyson Pedro. I understand the whole, whatever you want to call it, like the whole arena is going to be behind him, right? But I'm on Bukauskas here just based off the live dogness of him and the averageness of Tyson Pedro. It's just it's a play against Pedro more than it is a play on Bukauskas. I think Pedro is grossly overrated right now. Just grossly overrated. Hometown fight be damned. I think he's grossly overrated in this spot. So I'll play Bukauskas. I think Bukauskas is probably the only plus 200 or greater dog that I'm really considering this weekend. And he's definitely the only one I'm playing, I believe. But we'll see. That being said, all my plays will be available on betmma.tips. Feel free to go over there and follow along if you want. Again, it's all free. Just go and search for Punch List MMA Podcast, Punch List MMA Pod, one of the two. It's on there. That's really kind of it, guys. We went through last week. Everything was good. Just been keeping everything kind of right in front of me this week. Last week was a little bit more introspective, but everything, we just been cruising right along. We had a decent, healthy night last Saturday, got some dubs, stayed up late. I will be on Friday. I will be on a live stream with Blood Money Bets and Johnny K Picks over on Johnny K's channel. UFC 285, like I said, I'll be over there on Patrick's channel, Addicted to Combat. And then for 286, Patrick will be back over here. So we're going to alternate pay-per-view. So 285, I'm going there. 286, he's coming here. February 25th, Haley Cowan's fighting. And you guys know that we love Haley here. Going to see if we can't sneak her on next week or the week after. Be really cool to talk to her fight week wise. She's going to come in shape. So it'd be cool to talk to her if we can make it work, if we can get the schedules to line up. Instagram's dead. I can't log into it. And the password recovery email is a dead email. So it's Twitter. It's it. I can't. I don't know what else to do. So there is no password recovery, and Google is no help whatsoever. So uh, that's okay. Less social media, the better. The email, we're going to change that on here as well. You can shoot me an email at chat@punchlessmma. I won't get it. That email is functionally dead as well. Um, for some reason, Google is just not, it's not sending or receiving anymore. So it is what it is, man. We're just going to ride this thing till the wheels fall off, and then we'll adjust and recreate as we go. But yeah, if you haven't already done so, feel free to like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. Follow along if you want to. If not, that's okay too. Tail fade. I just hope you cash. Nothing deep, nothing crazy this week. Just appreciate you. Hope you're doing well. Hope you cash. I'll see everybody on Saturday. We'll live tweet along. And then in the meantime, Friday night, like this time, I think at 9 o'clock, I'm supposed to be there. 9 o'clock, I'll be on Johnny K Picks YouTube channel. Go check him out. Johnny with an H in it. Spells it a little funny. Johnny K Picks, his YouTube channel. I'll be there Friday night. We'll be talking about these fights as well. So I'll see you Friday. And if I don't see you Friday, I'll talk to you Saturday. And if I don't talk to you Saturday, I'll talk to you on Tuesday. And if I never hear from you again, I appreciate you and I love you. All right. Be good to each other, guys. And we will see you this weekend.